Welcome back. Wulfers here. Looking to make games using Unity? Well, you have come to the right place. Let's get started.
Before we get started making games, we are going to need to make sure that we have the proper development environment installed in our workstations. Here is what you will need: Unity and Visual Studio Community 2019. Let's head over to Unity's download archive. This is where you can find older versions of Unity software. The reason I usually don't go into the latest version is it may not be as stable as previous versions. The current ones may contain some bugs that others may not and can be difficult developing in an unstable environment. If, however, you need a certain feature that is only within the current version, then by all means, go ahead and get that version. If you are following me, then you will need to get the version 2019.2.12f1. Once you have downloaded it into your machine, go ahead and run the executable to install it and follow the prompts given to you. Here, you will have to accept their terms of service agreement to install and use the software. Go ahead and check the box and continue by clicking next. We will be choosing what components to install next. Make sure that the following are checked: Unity, which is the base engine; Visual Studio Community 2019. If you don't see this option, it's because you already have it installed. Windows, build support if you're on Windows. If not, then you choose your own OS, like Mac or Linux. And I will also choose WebGL as well. You don't have to do this part, but I will. Once you have all of the components that you want selected, hit the next button to continue. In this section of the installation, you will now select the installation directory. I have 2 hard drives on my machine, so I always choose D, but you can choose the default if you want. Please take note of the installation path. We will be using it after this installation to set up Unity Hub. Go ahead and click Next. Accept the Visual Studio 2019 agreement, and then it will now download and install everything you need. If you don't have Visual Studio, you will need to get a Hotmail account, I believe, to be able to use it. Another good thing to get for Unity is, how I mentioned before, the Unity Hub. This is kind of like Epic Games Launcher, where you can keep track of different versions of Unity and your projects. I highly recommend you get it. Now that we have everything we need, let's get started. We will first set up Unity Hub with the new version we just downloaded. If you have it, go ahead and open it up. If not, then go and pause this video and go get it. With Unity Hub open, on the left-hand side, we are going to go into the Install section. This is where your Unity versions will be. Click on the Locate button on the top right to add a new existing version. You will need to know where you installed your Unity version for this process. We will then go to Projects and hit the New button on the top right. We will be making a 2D game, so we can choose 2D. This, however, does not matter since you can change this from the editor at any time. The name of the project will be 2D_game_tutorial_basics. Choose a location for your project.
If you enjoy my videos, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and click on the bell icon to get notified when new videos get uploaded. Let me know in the comments below if you are understanding what is going on currently.
So we're going to talk about what the different views here are. The first one we're going to talk about is the scene view. The scene view or scene window is used to view your current game scene. Pretty much all of your screens in your game will go into scenes. This can be your main menu and their hierarchies. a loading screen, your levels, and pretty much anything that you want your players to see. We will be using this window pretty much all of the time. The game window is used to playtest your game or anything you have made. The inspector is used to see the different properties and components of your game objects. We will be looking into this more in depth in this video, so watch to the end. The asset store is where you can find multiple assets such as props, characters, textures, and starter kits. They have everything in there if you are interested. Go ahead and have a look around. Make sure to pause this video if you do. The console will let you know what is going on with your game. It will show different error messages, warnings, debug messages that we write. It is a very useful tool for us to be able to debug our game and test data flow. We will also be using this window extensively. This window is where all of your files will go. This is so you can easily import them into your scenes and maintain a decent file structure. We will be looking at one of the ways we use this in a later video. The hierarchy is how Unity manages the scene view. Here, you can see all of your objects and their relationships to one another. Currently, we only have the camera, so that is all we will see on this list. It is also a convenient way of selecting objects easier by name. You can also search for name of objects in here. All of the windows here are dockable and movable. You can change the layout to suit your needs or preferences. If you ever want to go back to the default layout, all you have to do is go to the top right corner of the screen, choose layout, drop down, and select the default. You can also save other preferred layouts if you need to. Okay, well, let's do something. We are going to create a new empty game object. So right click inside of the hierarchy window in any blank space, or go to the top left of that window and select the create menu. We are going to select create empty option. This will make a new object. In Unity, the base class for all of the objects that will be in your game come from a class named GameObject. We will be using this quite a bit. Go ahead and select this GameObject. Notice that your inspector window changed. It is now showing information about this object. All game objects contain a component called a transform. This will allow us to position the object in our world as well as rotate it and scale its size. Notice that on the scene view, you can see a point with arrows pointing in different directions. If you select one of these arrows, click and drag the mouse in that direction, the object moves. If you now see in the inspector, the numbers there change as well as you move the object through space. If you can't see this, press W on your keyboard. This will change your gizmo tool to the move tool. You can also do this by going to the top of the hierarchy window and selecting the second button from the left. You might ask yourself, why can I see the object in the scene? Why can I only see the camera and its icon? Well, that is a good question. The reason is that this object is empty. We need to add components to it to make it represent something. With your empty object still selected, go into the inspector. We are going to add several components to it. Click on the Add Component button, and in the drop-down menu, type Sprite Renderer. Select it. Your object now contains a new item in the inspector. Okay, well, let's add a sprite to it. Where it says sprite, to the right of it, we have a box. To the right of that box, there is a circle. Click on that circle to bring up the menu so that we can select an image. I will use the knob image. Double click on it and notice on the game window, we can now see a white dot. Go ahead and move it around from the scene window, or try changing the transform values for its position, X, Y, and Z, from the inspector. Familiarize yourself with how this works. You will learn more by doing than by watching. Select the game object from the hierarchy and right-click on it and select Rename. We will change the name of it to something that we can recognize better. We will change it to Circle. Let's add another game object by right-clicking and selecting 2D Object, Sprite. Notice that it creates a new game object with a sprite renderer component already added to it. Let's rename this object to Floor. And we are going to change its sprite property to add an image, and we're going to add the UI sprite image this time. Let's position the circle at coordinates 0, 1, 0. The floor position should be 0, 0, 0. We're going to change the floor's size to the following: 10, 1, 1. This is the scale. Let's add a component to the floor called Box Collider 2D. To the circle, we need to add a Circle Collider 2D component as well. These components contain already built-in functionality that allow the game engine to recognize which objects can collide with each other. Okay, so now let's hit the play button and see what happens. As you can see, nothing has happened so far. This is because we still need to add another component to the circle to make it move and interact with the floor. Go ahead and stop the play test. Make sure that when modifying objects, you are not in play mode. Changes done here will not take effect. We are going to add a rigid body 2D component to that circle. Go ahead and add that now. Hit the play button and see what happens. Awesome! We just made our first object move and interact with other objects. That was easy. I think this is a good point to stop. Go ahead and get familiar with these components. We will be making use of them in coming videos.
If you like this video, smash that like button. This is to let YouTube know that this video was worth watching so other people can find it. Don't forget to subscribe and click on that bell icon to get notifications when new videos get uploaded. Stay tuned for our next video. So before you go, don't forget to connect with us on social media. Also, if you want a way of supporting what I do, head to my Patreon page. The links are in the description down below. Thank you for watching. See you on our next video.